What is up, gang? This is the Xteen Featurette channel. I'm Chris, and today I have a TGIX review video for you. I'm going to be talking about Kino Lorber's brand new 4K release of Misery, and this is a flick that I have seen before. I saw this on the Scream Factory Blu-ray that Lewis Switcher owned because he loves this movie. And can I just say, which slip is better? Like, honestly. I don't know, I hate this art. I know it's like an iconic scene, but hate the art. I think this looks so much cooler. I love like all the snow in this movie, and this is really cool how it kind of captures that, and there's like typing of Misery, like typewriter font over and over again. I think it's beautiful. I love that. So very happy with the slip on this. What's even prettier is the feature itself. The Scream Factory had a 4K, a new 4K scan, but it was a Blu-ray disc. And this is the new scan on 4K, and it is, like, the difference is absolutely amazing. So, Kino Lorber sent this to me, courtesy for review. So, very many thanks to you, because this was such a huge upgrade on the previous one that we owned. They did a beautiful job with it. I hope that Kino Lorber keeps putting out 4Ks because they're doing a great job with them. This is a 1990 flick. I'm pretty sure that everybody's familiar with this. I'm not like the hugest fan of like Stephen King. Like, I like his stuff. I like all the movies based on Stephen King books that I've seen pretty much. I haven't read any of his books. I started reading The Shining multiple times, and I just keep like stopping. So I don't know, maybe I'm just not into his writing style. I don't know. But this has like James Caan, Kathy Bates. You know, she won an Oscar for this performance. This is directed by Rob Reiner. The screenwriter is William Goldman, and the effects were by Greg Nicotero, so you know that they are good. And a little bit about the plot. If you have not yet seen this, I won't spoil anything, but let me know if you haven't seen this, because I only saw it very recently, like a couple years ago. So it was pretty new for me. I know a lot of people, it's like a classic for them. So I'll start off by saying this is not really like a horror movie. It's more of a thriller, I would say. It's centered around James Caan. He is an author, and he's writing about this character named Misery. He has this series of books that are wildly popular. His tradition is that whenever he finishes a novel, he goes to this very remote Colorado lodge to finish on his typewriter, and he smokes himself a ciggy and has a glass of wine or champagne, and it's just, you know, about, I always think it's funny whenever writers write about writers. It's like they're writing what they know. So this is definitely one of those cases, and you can tell that it's probably one of those things that Stephen King was like, huh, you know, what if? Like, this is probably something that's very plausible to him, because unlike a lot of his stories, this is something that could very well actually happen. It's within the realms of reality, and yeah, that's what's creepy about this movie, is that it's 100% realistic. So basically, Kathy Bates is, you know, you can see there's a picture of her holding a pretty intimidating looking knife, and he's holed up bandaged. So basically, he encounters a storm, and she happens upon him as his, like, you know, classic Mustang careens off a hill. And as I was watching, I was kind of like, how did she know he was there? And, you know, the premise is like she is his biggest fan and she's stalking him. She turns out to be a super creep. And Kathy Bates, like, definitely deserved an Oscar for this, because she was just, like, jarringly realistic. She seemed like, you know, a crazy fan, and then she just, like, keeps getting, like, ramped up till the point that she, like, loses control. So as she's basically stalking him, she happens upon the wreckage of his car and saves him. He has, like, broken legs, and that is, like, the most noteworthy thing about this movie for me is the special effects. Whenever you see his legs in the bed, it looks 100% real to me. And I know, you know, they kind of pan over it, but it's a lingering shot. You know, once they get to the toes, they kind of cut away, but it looks so realistic. And even in glorious, ultra high definition, it still looks so realistic. It's disgusting. So that was really cool. You know, Greg Nicotero did a phenomenal job on the effects. And I really don't know what else to say about the plot. It's really about like a stalker, somebody that's obsessed with James Caan, and she basically kind of holds him hostage, is pretty much the premise, you know. She's like his caretaker because she was a nurse, and I'm going to leave it at that. So it's definitely worth watching. The next thing I want to comment on is the cinematography, because it takes place in the winter in Colorado. There's a whole bunch of snow, and it's real snow. There's some, I did listen to the commentary with the director, and he said that there were some close shots, like whenever he's getting pulled out of the car, that they did on a soundstage with like shaved ice. So even that was like real ice. You could tell that it looks very realistic. They did an amazing job, but the way that they photographed the snow and everything was just beautiful. And like most of this movie takes place in his room that he's being cared for in Annie Wilkes' house, Kathy Bates. So it's almost all confined to one room, but the things that they do with the camera angles, like there's so many different angles, and there's so many different things that they focus on, like lingering shots, shots on, you know, she'll serve him a plate of food, and then there's a very just clear, beautifully like shot picture of this plate, and it's just really artistic how they insert those in there. So the cinematography was just, I mean, for, you know, a thriller based on a Stephen King novel, it's just very artistic. I feel like that sets this apart so much. I mentioned the 4K is very, very crisp. The snow photographs beautifully. There were two scenes, not scenes even, there were two like shots where you could tell that it wasn't upscaled footage. The very, very end, where they're in a restaurant, I won't say who, but they're in a restaurant, and that entire scene was kind of like a lower quality. And there's one very, very short clip somewhere in the middle that you can just tell the quality is of the Blu-ray. It's not the same as this 4K. And whenever you see those short snips of the other quality, it really like it gives you a comparison. Like the 4K is just so much better. One thing that I love about this movie is it's pretty somber, you know, for most of it, because this guy's feeling very hopeless. I love James Caan, by the way. I think that he's a phenomenal actor. You know, it's not an uplifting movie, but at the same time, like, they have comedic elements to it. The old couple, there's a sheriff and his wife. They are hilarious, and I absolutely love both of their characters. They're great. They get word that James Caan's character, Paul Sheldon, is missing, and he starts his own like little investigation. There's this one scene where so Paul Sheldon's agent is calling and saying, "Oh no, this is nuts, but you know, my client is I can't reach him, and you know, could you keep an eye out?" And the sheriff says, "Oh yeah, I'll patch it through the system." And then he like takes a sticky note and like just pastes it on a bulletin board behind him that's cluttered with different things. And like the way he slaps it, he's like, "I'll run it through the system." And like the timing of like him saying system and putting it on the wall, like everything about it was just perfect. It was hilarious, I thought. So I guess that the setting of this is it's very remote. There's a lot of aerial photography where you can see it kind of pulls back and you see the house that they're in, and you see that it's in like the mountains and it's surrounded by woods. So we know that it's very remote. We see the road that she's driving up, like her driveway to get to town, and we see that, you know, she's in a truck, obviously, and she's kind of like driving through the snow and it hasn't been touched. It's like you get the idea that this is a very remote setting. she says that she lives on a farm, and her like best friend is this pig named Misery, because she is, you know, the biggest fan of Misery. So she has a pig named Misery. But what I found really interesting about that fact was the pig was in the credits as Misery the pig as herself. So I'm like, did they just like name this pig for this movie? I want to know the story of how Misery the pig is Misery the pig. So that was pretty interesting. There are so many cool nuances to this movie, like the language that Kathy Bates uses, Annie Wilkes. Like, I guess that's in the novel, but it's it just like her character is so, you get such a feel for who she is as a person, and you know, it's very unsettling. The set design, because it all takes place in her house mostly. The set design was, it looks like somebody's grandmother's house. That's, I mean, you know, she's like a woman of faith, and at first, it's funny because she watches, like, it seems like every night she watches The Love Connection. We know that she has like an estranged husband or something, and you know, she's keeping Paul here, and it's like, well, you know what, she wants Misery to be a romantic book, and it's just like, oh, this house is going to be so full of romance, I'm going to put on Liberace. And it's just it's very interesting because the set design, I feel like, plays into the movie so much. Like the house and the wallpaper and all of the little knickknacks and everything is just like a character in and of itself, really. It just seems like, it seems like a land like that time hasn't touched. Like, you know, James Caan has been transported to this place that's like of another world almost. So you know, like a very isolated feeling. So that's a really cool feel that you get watching this movie. I did watch the commentary with the director, and it was phenomenal. Highly suggest it. There are two things that are on here on the Scream Factory that are not on the Kino Lorber, and that is the interview with the director and the interview with Greg Nicotero. So, but then there's a trailer on here. The Season's Greetings trailer is on here, and that's really fun. So, two interviews on that one that aren't on here, but this is well worth buying just for the picture quality alone. So I highly suggest it. You know, even if you own that one, this is a very vast upgrade in my opinion. If you have seen this, let me know. If you have picked this up and you know, you can attest to the picture quality, you know, please do. Lewis Switcher told me it was good, and he was not lying. So very many thanks to Kino Lorber for sending this to me. Very thrilled about that. Please check this out, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this review. Give me a sub if you haven't already, because, you know, we're all friends here. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Later.